How to Feck Perfection is a new, upgraded version of my best-selling book, Feck Perfuction. In it, each chapter of the book is highlighted to its essential lessons and practical applications to our lives. The class is for anyone seeking creative courage and the confidence to allow their creativity to flow like a gushing fountain. It's jam-packed with tips and tools and hands-on demos to counter the habits of perfectionism and procrastination that stop your creative flow so you can find your voice and create that beautiful life that you've dreamed of. Stop waiting for permission. The time is now, baby. The time is now. Let's go.
Hi, and welcome back to Creative Live. It's been a minute since we did a live stream, so as a reminder, my name is Kate Dessa, and I am your host. You talk to me on social media. I am the head of all of our socials, so if you've been DMing us, I am the face behind our social platforms, so nice to see everybody. Welcome to the stream. We are so excited to have James Victore back for a new class. James, welcome to the stream. He is a designer, artist, advocate, and activist, and of course, a Creative Live instructor. And now he is back with his brand new class, the new Feck Perfuction. So welcome to the stream, James. So nice to have you.
I am tickled pink to be here. Thank you for inviting me to your party.
Well, James, so, as I mentioned, you previously had a class at Creative Live. It was years ago. I think, was it prior to your book, Feck Perfection?
Yeah. It was back when I didn't know anything.
So James is back after years. You've seen him probably on the podcast on the Chase Jarvis show, but today he is back to launch a brand new class based on his best-selling book, Feck Perfection. So tell me a little bit about the impetus of this class, James. What sparked you wanting to do a class to complement your book?
Well, I think, Kate, like everybody, the pandemic and quarantine really kind of affected me. It changed my life. It changed what I was doing for a living. And I actually started going back in order to maintain some contact with my audience, I was going back and reading from Feck Perfection like every week, a couple times a week, live through Instagram. And I realized that in the 2 years since I wrote Feck, that my ideas have changed so much. Life has changed so much, and I've just developed these ideas further. And I was just super excited about trying to find a way to share this, on a bigger format. So thank you for Creative Live for making that possible. I'm totally qualified to literally rewrite the book, and what I'm trying to do here with you guys is a big part of that.
Yeah, well, I'm excited. I've read the book. It's a book that's all about embracing your weirdness and really finding your way to get through the creative blocks that always come up as a creator. So I'm really excited to learn some of your new perspectives on Feck Perfection. And so I would love to hear from our audience. If you have read the book or know James's work, please leave us a comment. It's been a little while since we've been able to interact with you. So tell us where you're tuning in from and drop us a note. Say hi to James. As a reminder, this is our live kickoff before his class starts. His brand new class starts at 9:30 sharp. And if you just head over to the link in the comments, you will be able to watch the class for free. It's streaming as a premiere for 24 hours for free. So make sure you watch it today, or you can subscribe to the Creator Pass and watch it whenever you please. So James, tell me a little bit about what made you want to write Feck Perfection, what it was, those blocks that you were feeling that caused you to want to write the book.
Exactly. That's exactly it, Kate. I had a large black um, sketchbook that I used to just collect all these ideas or write down the philosophies that I was in the process of learning, the crazy shit my mom used to say, you know, all of this work. And in the first interview, actually, the interviewer said, you know, who was your target audience for this book? And I said, you think I'm the kind of guy who thinks about his target audience? I wrote this book for me. It was just a collection of ideas. I could have just put a spiral bound on this notebook, you know, and read it every day to myself, because these are the things that I need to keep going. These are the
Yeah.
dangerous ideas that I need to keep embracing, so I can push back and push through all the blocks. Because you know, it's I understand, as a creative and as somebody who has fought his entire life to maintain a level of creativity in my life, you know, and not listen to the critics and not listen to the haters and not let any failure totally destroy me, you know. These are the lessons that I need every day. So I literally almost just kind of kept it into a spiral bound for myself. But I was on stage. I was on stage. I was lucky enough to be on stage, and I was kind of talking about these ideas. And this fantastic woman came up to me and she said, "Hi, I'm an editor at Chronicle Books." She said, "I think you have a book about creativity for entrepreneurs in you." And I said, "I have been constipated for 2 years with a book, creativity for entrepreneurs. So, you know, help me." And they made the process very easy. They gave me a contract, and I had a year, and that year changed my life. I started getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning so I could write, because we had a a 2-year-old boy. That was the only time between 4 and 6, because six I was dad and making breakfast, and so writing the book was a great process of putting all this together into English, you know,
Yeah.
um, and making it palatable, and then just the opportunity to play and make the kind of work that I like to make, which is kind of hoodlumish, kind of easy, kind of difficult.
And that's, to your point, and we were having this conversation before we hopped on here, is there's this block in us as creators, whether it's a difficult task we're doing or an easy one, or we're just playing. It's so hard for us to put ourselves out there and show that work, because, as we were talking about, we have these struggles with perfectionism or really putting ourselves out there so people can judge our work. And
Yeah.
that's what this whole book is about, is finding that courage, accepting that your unique voice is actually what makes you special and what makes your work special. And I'd love to hear you talk a little bit more about how you found that voice. And was it the book deal that put you in a place where you felt like, oh, I can do this? Or were you feeling that beforehand when you were on stage and you met the book editor?
Oh, for me, being on stage and making the work that I do has always been easy. Um, uh, be, because what I do, I mean, I'm not special, I'm not more talented, or I'm not smarter, or I don't work harder than anybody. I actually work harder than most people. But what I do, what my special gift is that I allow myself to play. So if I'm on stage, or if I'm in my studio making stuff, I allow myself to play. But the funny thing about saying yes to a publisher was, then all of a sudden I had to be a writer.
Yeah.
And that changed everything, because, I was like, but I'm not a writer, right? What a charlatan, what an imposter I was. And I realized the first thing about writing is that writing isn't actually that hard. Sitting is hard. Sitting for, trying to sit for an hour or for 2 hours and make the work. Now I've gotten so practiced at it that I really enjoy. I get up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. I go out and sit in the dark on the porch with my laptop on me, and I can, with my little coffee routine, it's much easier for me now. But it always takes that practice, and it always takes getting through those blocks. And I remember sitting out on the porch writing Feck with the voices on my shoulder. Really? You're
Yeah.
going to say that? You're going to talk about that in a book? Really? You know? So, but I've read enough biographies of great leaders, political leaders, who the night before a major move, a major decision, how they were riddled with self-doubt. So
Yeah.
it's not special to me. It's all of us, and that's what I try to pull out in Feck Perfection and in this course. It's like, because it's hard for me, I'm not special. That difficulty isn't special to me. It's just the human condition.
Totally.
It's difficult for us to kind of stand up and say, "Hey, look at me. I have value. My words and my work has worth."
Yeah, absolutely. And we were chatting about this, our society, and I don't know if it's necessarily American society or it's all societies around the world. But as a kid, those thoughts don't even cross your mind. Someone hands you a paintbrush and you're at it. You're
At it.
coloring. You're letting your imagination run wild, and you don't have those same imposter syndromes. What do you think it is that causes those to evolve over, as you get older?
There's a number of things, Kate, that stop us from doing it. I mean, I think there's the obvious ones that we want to fit in, right?
Mhm.
And fitting in, to me, involves dulling your light, right? We When you sit in rank and file in a classroom, it's kind of taught out of us. I mean, I know from my own history, the times I got in trouble because it was difficult for me to just kind of sit for an hour in a class, or I
Yeah.
used to write on my book. And I'd write in my books because I needed these kind of mnemonic devices, these reminder tools. But the teachers thought I was kind of just marring the book, and I'm like, okay, my creativity is a tool that I use, therefore I can learn these things. So,
Yeah.
there are a number of reasons, but I think the one that I'm most curious about these days, and actually working on and working through for a new class for you guys, is the whole idea of the cultural unconscious, right? Not only our own unconscious thought, which is our subconscious, which is our ego, or all
Mhm.
of I call them the pre-recorded voices. The
I like
voice of
that. I like that.
the lazy teacher who offhandedly said, "You'll never be good at math, ergo you cannot do math now,"
Yep.
right? Or the lazy, uninformed coach who said, "You're too fat to be a dancer." This kind of thing. And that one remark
Yeah.
stays with people their whole lives and really changes their trajectory. Or the whole idea of, like, so I live in kind of relatively small town Texas, and for me to be kind of somewhat flamboyant and somewhat free at sharing my work and putting them up in, like, in leaving my work in restaurants, and coming back and finding it framed, on the wall. It's
Yeah.
like it's difficult when you know what the rules are. And there
Totally.
are unspoken rules in society about what you can and can't do and what you should and shouldn't do. But to me, those are other people's rules, and we have to learn that. Creatively, we have to learn that. Historically, the creators that I always looked up to were hooligans and rule breakers and what is the word? People who go against the government.
Anarchists.
Anarchists. Thank you. Thank you. And to a certain degree, that's creativity's role. And I think the first line in Feck Perfection says, "We're all born wildly creative. Some of us just forgot." And that's it. That's
Totally.
it. We're all born with this. When we're children, we all have this. We're born perfect with 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 energy and with the creative thoughts and with we just want to give love freely and accept love freely. And then all of a sudden we have parents, and then we have teachers, and then we have society, and then we have school, and then we have, teenage peers who are starting to be shut down, right? And they're like, why are you standing out? Why can't you be like us? Be like us, So there's all these reasons. And I see it in the creatives that I work for, whether they're in the school, the weekly school that I run, or they come to the camps, or just people who I hang out with at the bar, and I can see the light or lack of light in their eyes often, and kind of work with them and try to pull it out and go, hey, you know what? That those creative urges that you have, you're worthy of those. Those have value, but I've got a job. Oh, no, 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 no. Your job is your poverty thinking. You do a good job at this, and it will take you further than your job can ever take you. Right?
Yeah. And so, what do you say to your 10-year-olds, or maybe not your 10-year-old self, because your 10-year-old self is probably still very curious and ready to explore, but what do you say to those students that join that feel so crippled by imposter syndrome or what the world has handed them, or being beholden to a job that they don't love?
Yeah. It's I had a coaching client. He was a barista, right? So he was a barista, coffee maker, and he's like, hey, I've got this job, and I've got this, and I said, and I'm working with him so he can start making art and start getting it out, start enjoying making the work, and start enjoying getting it out into the world. Because what I think of your work is not important. It's what you think of your work. It's what it makes you feel like. It's how well you are getting it out the door. And he said, this is really hard. I said, no, you know what's hard? Being an artist stuck in a barista. That's hard. That's hard.
Yeah.
You're doing twice the work by negating your creativity. You were killing it yourself. Someone started the ball rolling. Someone said you can't make a living being a poet. And I'm like, I actually have a client who said that. He said, I had an uncle who said that. And I'm like, ah. I said, is that uncle alive? And he said, yeah. I said, you got to go talk to him. You got to ask him how many times he tried. How many poems did he write?
Yeah.
How many times did he fail? He just pulled that remark out of his ass and handed it to you, and you have accepted it as the truth.
And let it stick to you in ways that, it's sometimes you don't know. Sometimes it's someone's positive encouragement, but it can be just as much the negative statements that stick to us, and really you don't realize how much influence just a few words can have on you. If you're not conscious of your ego and how you internalize those things.
Correct. And what you said is spot on. So what your parents did by saying, well, maybe you should get a real degree first, that was love. That was love. They were trying to protect you, but that protection is only shielding you from your success. So you start down the path on your plan B, and then all of a sudden your plan B becomes your life, and you're like, oh, you're only as great as the level that you will accept in your life. So if you have a plan B, your plan A is screwed.
Yeah.
My mom said, boy, she was like, I wish I didn't let you move to New York when you were 19. I wish you would have gotten a real degree first, all these wishes. And I'm like, oh my God, that would have been crippling.
Yeah.
If I knew that.
You wouldn't be the person you are today.
No, I wouldn't be the person. I wouldn't be the good father that I am now. Yeah. I would be at probably many levels. I would be very frustrated with my life.
Yeah.
Because I would know there's a song inside of me, and I can't reach it. I can't hit that note anymore. Right?
Totally. Well, tell me a little bit, in the class, you kind of walk through a little bit of a framework for people to, work through perfectionism and imposter syndrome and really build the courage to get their work out into the world. And throughout the book and throughout the class, you share some of your work. And I'd love to take a look at some of this work, some of the work with you right now. And
Sure.
maybe you could share, what each of those pieces, was there some courage that took to actually put it out into the world,
Yeah.
and what it felt like to get each of the pieces out there.
Yeah, it's funny because in the class, again, the subconscious is saying, "Really, you're gonna say that on camera?" And then they're gonna release it to a lot of people, and part of it is like just the kind of truth telling. And the purpose of the truth telling is to make it easier for everyone else. I have had and am having a fabulous career. And the reason to share all this is because I want to make it easier for everybody else, because I know how hard it is. I see how people are struggling just to make the work. Forget about all the judging and comparison that they're doing, but just to make the work and get it out the door. So actually, and there's a couple of pieces here that I've shot. So there's obviously the book, but there was this piece in the book is from it's the first piece from the chapter 3, which is about how to start. Just start. And it's one of my favorite pieces. And it's just this little exclamation point that's running. It was just cute at the time. It made sense for this. Now, the funny thing is, I didn't make it for the book. I made it when I was about a year before the book. I had a regular column in Entrepreneur magazine. I had a column called Resolutely Difficult Advice. And it was like really building up to Feck Perfuction. But every month I had the last page of the magazine. So I wrote a little piece and there was a piece of art. And the piece of art that I made for it, actually, I pulled the wrong one. The piece of art that I made for it was the that exclamation point.
Yeah.
But if you look, and I have actually pulled the wrong exclamation point out for it, but if you actually look at the art, there's a cut in the exclamation point, because when I was working on the magazine, the art was too tall. So like proportionately, the point would have had to be a little bit smaller. So I just took a pair of scissors and cut it in half, and reshaped it, and then taped it together. And I didn't try to hide the mark, right? Because one, what I was showing is I am happy to repurpose my work. I don't have a problem with that.
That's an interesting thing that a lot of artists get really connected to, is reshaping or holding their art in a specific way. And I think that you've always been someone who goes with the flow and lets your art evolve over time, and you play and let it meet the situation rather than forcing it to be what you originally might have intended.
And the one comment that comes up often when people are talking about my work is they say all he did was, all I did was turn something sideways and change its meaning. And to me, it's like, I'm like, is that a problem? Should it be more difficult than that? Maybe I should work harder. Maybe I should reinvent the wheel every fucking time. Excuse me. And in order to like repurpose things, or to take art that I've made for myself. Like here's a little doodle that I made as I think I made it as a card for a friend that I never sent. It was so I never like framed it or finished it off, and it made sense for the book. I just removed the typography underneath, and it made sense for this whole idea of having a voice. So it's just a drawing with a paint pen, and then literally an orange crayon, right?
Yeah.
And people look at the stuff in the book and they're like, "Oh my God, how did you do that?" That's so. And I'm like, "Well, actually, you could do it too." I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with sharing the simplicity.
Part of your process is like you create when you're sparked to create. You don't necessarily know where that creation is going to land in a few years, and look at all of these different illustrations that helped you conceptualize this book in a way that is much more interesting than just words, that was all not made specifically for the book, but was allowed you to bring your art to the book in a whole new way.
Yeah. And actually, Kate, the follow-up to Feck Perfuction is at the publisher now. I still have to illustrate it. And one of the inside jokes I want to have in that book is to take one piece of art from here and repurpose it into the next book.
That's great. Well, you know, like I said, these live streams go real quick, so we're just getting to our ending point. So I just want to remind everyone that this is the live kickoff for James's brand new class that's out today. It is called The New Feck Perfuction. It is based on his best-selling book, Feck Perfuction. And right now you are currently watching our little live Q&A before the class kicks off. If you're watching on our social feeds, make sure you click the link in the comments to head over to watch the class for free today. It is streaming live for 24 hours. And if you are on the class, make sure you just refresh the page after this live stream, and the class will be starting at 9:30 sharp. James, tell us what else you're up to. You are working on another new class that will be coming out on Creative Live soon. Tell us where to follow you, keep up to date with everything that you're doing, and what else we need to be updated on.
The best place, the place that I play the most is Instagram, and it's just at James Victore, because it's, I'm both a pictures and a word guy, so I am on there most. That would be the place to follow. We are redoing jamesvictore.com because making it more representative of what I'm working on these days. But check out Instagram, and especially the link in the bio that has a lot of free stuff, and it shows you where the video blog is and information about my online class, and that's the place where I play.
All right, so I'll drop your Instagram handle in all the comments, and make sure to follow James on Instagram or head over to his website, jamesvictore.com, and we'll see you soon. James, we're excited for the next class, and make sure you head over to watch this class, which is the new Feck Perfuction. Thanks again, James. So excited to watch the class.
It's been a blast.
Pursuing creativity is arguably the most practical thing that you can do.
We humans are adaptation champions. That's what makes us human, our ability to imagine.
The hard part is to look inside and say, what are my invisible beliefs that I have about money? I wanted to figure out how it actually worked.
And you are really here because you became passionate about an idea.
What does it take to capture great photographs of birds? You have to be grounded in your cameras. You need to understand the technology.
Just like any band shoot, we're looking to capture great shots of the band themselves playing on stage. So the drummer shot, lead singer, guitars.
How do you even prepare to shoot with your phone? And then we're actually going to go into the edit.
Once you hit rock bottom, there's no place to go but up. You learn what's real. You learn what's needed.
In astrophotography, there is a great deal more planning involved because you are literally shooting in the dark.
We can't change others, but we can change our perspective.
Wow, that's a good way to start the day.
I had tears in my eyes.
If you're feeling isolated and looking for creative connection, try tuning into creativelive.com/TV. That's where we've got a 24/7 live stream from the kitchen counters.
I can do that backlit shot that I really like to do.
From the studios and living rooms of many of the world's top creators, where we're doing musical performances, Q&As, cooking shows, virtual book tour events, drawing, spoken word poetry, and more.
Life pass me by, waiting for an invitation when the world is greater than my nation or my occupation. Be someone you've never been. You feel all that adrenaline? It's medicine.
It actually helps me feel like my days are more purposeful.
I hope that out of this deep pain will come some collective growth.
Dive into Creative Live TV today.